Good morning, folks. It is 7 o'clock in the morning, July 18th. This is the 11th garden tour for the season of 2020. I am in Missouri, northeast Missouri, growing zone 6A. My name is Amy. This is Home Sweet Gardens. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe. Hit the like button if you like the video. Notification bell so you'll be told when there's new videos posted. If you're not new and you're returning, welcome back. So I'm out here at 7 o'clock in the morning because it is supposed to be blistering, god-awful hot today. It's supposed to be somewhere in the mid to high 90s with a heat index of 105, something like that. Yeah, I don't do that very well. So I'm going to be out here a little earlier to get this done so that I can be inside. And I think we're going to be going out on the boat this weekend. So here's my wildflower bed. Very tall. Again, I've said this every week. I don't know what kind of flowers they are because it was just a variety. I have an app. There's a couple different apps that you can use. One of them I think is Plant ID. There's a couple others. I can't remember the name of them. Anyway, but you can take pictures. You know, you get in there close like this. You can take a picture of the flower, the leaves, and it will tell you the ID of the plant. So I probably need to do that. It does look like there's some cucumbers in here, which I find strange because I don't see how cucumbers are wild flowers. But I don't know. I don't even know what kind of cucumbers there are. Anyway, so rosebush. My corn's getting a little bigger. A couple of them are kind of small. Morning! My neighbors go walk it every morning. Alright, got my mammoth sunflowers. And they're doing better. I had to put the sticks in because they were starting to bend and fall over. So this will help keep them up because remember they're going to get very, very tall. So this will help keep, especially when the wind is blowing, help them from blowing over and getting damaged. Not the most attractive thing, having these green sticks sticking out like that. But they'll get big enough to where you won't see the stems, the sticks anymore anyway. My pear tree. They are not ripe. From what I have read, that with pears, they're ripe when they fall off the tree. There's a few of them that have a little bit of, like this one's got a little bit of give to it, but they're still really, really firm, not able to squish or anything at all. But they're starting to get that kind of blush on them, so they're getting closer. I just feel so bad for this poor tree. It is just loaded with them, and the leaves are turning brown. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I've looked, there's not really any pests. I think honestly that it's just getting sapped of its energy. I think because it's got so much fruit on it. Excuse me. And it's been so hot lately. I've been watering it, but I really think that that's the biggest problem. It's getting sapped of the energy. And there's my other pear tree down here, which doesn't have any pears on it, but it's still relatively young. So it did have a couple of flowers, but it didn't really produce anything. My alums, they're flowering well. The next little one here, that flowers haven't opened yet, but they're there. And I'm sure you can't hear that. but there's buzzing all over, and that's because there are bees everywhere in this garden, which is a great thing. I used to be so afraid of bees. I ran from them, wouldn't even be outside in the house when they were out. And then I started gardening, and I got a little bit more, familiar with them. And although they're not my favorite things to hang around me, because I don't want to get stung, obviously, but they really leave you alone. I mean, I can be out here and picking stuff, and they can be buzzing around my hands and stuff, and they don't run over and sting you like my irrational fear was that they would do. So I've really kind of learned to respect them and learned how to interact with them, I guess. And my small sunflowers that I had over here. Okay, my Brussels sprouts are starting to do well. I've been cutting off, I went through and cut off the bottom leaves that were turning yellow. So if we get down in here close and look, looky right there, yay, that's a Brussels sprout. I'm so excited. I get excited by the dumbest things, you know. If you garden a lot, you know what I mean. You come out and you're like, oh, my little baby is growing so much. So they're all doing really well. I need to come out and break off another one of these leaves here. And since I'm going to be mowing, I just left the leaves here because then when I mow it, it mows them up. Gets them out of here. Look at my butternut squash plant. Every time I want to brag on it, I always think, oh God, I better not, because the minute I do, it's going to die on me. But look at those flowers. I just think they're so beautiful. That yellow color. Oh, and did you see that? Bees. Bees, bees, bees doing their thing. Good job. Here's a rogue plant. I do believe it's cucumber. It just showed up, so I don't know. Maybe that's how those ended up over there. I don't know. My banana pepper plants. This is my first year growing them, but they're looking pretty sad. I don't know. So we'll see. I've gotten one off of them so far. My artichoke is looking pretty good. It'll get bigger. The flowers, I can't wait until it flowers. Well, I won't show you the first flower because that's the actual artichoke I'll be cutting to eat, but then it'll actually produce more. And if you let the artichoke bloom, the flowers are just absolutely incredible. If you have a chance to look them up, they're really neat looking. All right, my cucumbers. I went through and got pretty much all the beets out of there yesterday. These are pickling cucumbers, so really you don't want them much bigger than this. I've been picking them typically about this size, just because then I can stick them in my pickling rind, like that right there. Good. Like your baby gherkin for when you buy cucumber sweet pickles at Walmart or the store, wherever you're gonna go. I say Walmart. I absolutely hate Walmart. Okay, it's my least favorite place to go. If I had any other opportunity, any other places to go, I would go anywhere but there. But where I live, I'm in such a small place. There's 93 people in the town that I live in. So there's not a whole lot of variety, obviously. There's a couple other little stores, but they're more money. So when you're looking at prices, you pretty much have no choice but to go to Walmart. So even as much as, you dislike a company, you're forced to go and give them your business, which is unfortunate because I would much rather give my business to somebody else if I could. Okay, my eggplants. You see that right there? That's gonna be an eggplant. My zucchini plant is doing really well. I learned something this week. Regular plain old soapy water. Just dishwashing detergent and water. You don't mix it super strong. Kill squash bugs. It does not protect the plant as far as you can squirt it on there and they'll it'll continue to keep them off of them. That's not how it works. But if you spray a squash bug, it dies like really quickly. And I can't tell you how much satisfaction I got out of doing that. I probably shouldn't even say that, but yeah, I was like, die. So anyway, I was so excited. So in case you were wanting to know, because I have been battling them, I think we all do. It's one of the worst plagues in a garden. Yeah, dish soap and water kills them. Now people will say, oh, don't use dish soap. It'll change the soil. It'll do this. It'll do that. Yes, I think in strong amounts it will. But I use one of those big gallon sprayers, and I don't put very much dish soap in it. Very little. So I have personally have not noticed any damage to the plant or damage to the soil as far as composition, you know, nutrients wise. So I guess maybe if you're like using gallons of dish soap, maybe it would change it, but I've not noticed anything. Okay, got a little bit of a yellowing of a leaf there, so I'm gonna come out and cut that. But I wanted to see if I could get in here and show you how tall. Okay, so that vertical gardening again, you see the bottom of that stem, and it's still rather healthy. Now, understand that this is mid-July, so this plant has been growing for a couple months now, so it's getting closer to the end of its life cycle. And you can see towards the bottom of the stem how it's starting to get that kind of mushy looking. Probably got some vine borers going on in there, but it goes all the way up. You can see how I've been tying it. I've got a zucchini that's ready to pick there. I went out last night, but it wasn't quite ready, so I thought, well, I'll leave it. And this is how tall it is. Okay, I'm about just under 5'10", okay? So I wanted to give you a size comparison to this plant. So this should tell you right here, hold on. Okay, right there. So if I take my arms and go straight out at 5'10", that's how tall this plant is. That's just insane how tall a plant. I mean, it's beautiful. Yes, it's got a little bit of it's got a yellowing leaf there. There's a squash bug there that I'm gonna come back and get with some soapy water. Shouldn't be like that. I do it for you now, but it's all the way, the soapy water bucket is all the way up at the boat. So for now, I guess I'll just have to get that little bugger. I hate touching them. They stink. But anyway, nice, large green leaves on it. A nice healthy stalk. Putting on absolutely gorgeous zucchini. The flowers are beautiful and large, and the bees are busy. Again, guys, vertical growing. It's the only way to do it. All right. Okay, so now, so excited. This is my first year growing these Asian long beans, and I wasn't sure what to expect, and I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm excited, and then I'm like, oh, I just don't know if I like them, and then, yes, they're awesome. I've kind of gone back and forth. The way they trellis is just, they're just willy-nilly all over. They just go everywhere. And they're kind of spindly, but that's okay. But check this out. Okay, so they flower. Look at that. The strangest looking little flowers. They're so weird. I can get it in focus here. There we go. So they've got those on there, those flowers. And then, this is what I want to show you because I'm so excited. That is my very first Asian long bean. They're the red variety. They're so cute. But can you say that about vegetables? Cute? I'm going to. It's cute. Anyway, so there's several coming on. So I don't know. They get, the package says 16 to 18 inches long is when they are considered riper, when you want to pick them. Oh, did you see that? Look at him. Oh, he's beautiful. What are you doing, buddy? All right, back to beans. I get sidetracked so easily. But so I haven't gotten any of the green beans yet, but they're just starting. So from what I understand, once they start, they're going to be everywhere. So I'm super excited because they're supposed to just trellis and hang down and be beautiful. So I can't wait. Okra. So I planted my 6 okra plants, and I've never had it. So it looked interesting. I wanted to try it, and the flowers are gorgeous. What I saw on the package and on TV and different pictures and stuff. So they're right. The flowers on an okra plant are just absolutely beautiful. The plants are massive, and so I clearly planted them way too close together. That would be the first thing I did wrong. And I'm getting a little okra on them. There's one right there. And here's the funny thing. I've gotten 2 so far. So I come out here and I'm like, oh, there's one. It's ready. So I snip it off with my cool garden snippers. And it's fuzzy. I have tactile issues. I don't do well with fuzzy things, or like I don't do fleece, like babies' clothes. I can't touch them. So that was my first thing, is, oh God, it's fuzzy. Then I smelled it, and that's when the repulsion hit. I don't think I'm ever going to even be able to put a piece of okra in my mouth. If I can't stand the way it smells, I don't see how I'm going to be able to eat it. So I've got these 6 okra plants, and pretty sure I'm not going to be eating any of it. So the gal that I work with, she absolutely loves okra, and I guess hers did not come up at all. And she's going to be neck deep in corn, so we're trading. I'm going to send her okra. She's going to bring me some corn. So we're going to do like the olden day, fair trade market thing. My peppers, they're doing well. These are ready to harvest. I've got several that I will do. They are the Cubanelle sweet peppers. And so what I will do is save a few of them to dry and save some seeds so that I can grow them again. I like them. Okay, my butternut squash. I'm down to 2 plants. As you recall, the cucumber wilt got my other 2. It was a sad day. Had a little mini funeral for him. A service. It was nice. Nobody showed up but me. But it's true, they're doing very well. There's bees everywhere. There's flowers everywhere. Look at that. There's a little bee inside that one. I've got several butternut squash plant fruits growing. Here's one up here on top of the trellis that's doing well. If they're up on there like that, they're fine. You don't have to support them because they get big enough that the wind is not going to blow that butternut squash off the trellis. If it does, it's taking probably the garden with it. So, and supporting it isn't going to help. I've got one over here which is kind of funny looking. It looks almost like a gourd more than a butternut squash. That was the very first one it put on. So I don't know what's up with that, but it's it's there. And then I talked a little bit about how you support your vegetables when you're growing them on a trellis, large vegetables. So here's one that I took care of earlier this week. So that is pantyhose. You can go get, you know, the $1 a pack cheap pantyhose. I use the nude color just because, well, if I used the black and I had that butternut squash hanging in that, it would probably look a little bit ruder than what it already does. So I tend to use the nude just because it kind of blends in a little bit better, but I guess you could use whatever color you wanted. If they had hot pink or like orange, that might be kind of cool looking, you know, like giant balloons or something. But you can just cut them up. Like this is the leg part of it, and then of course, you know, you have their toe part, but I just cut them in pieces and then I tie them so I can have multiple pieces, and I'll show you some here in a second that I've already had cut. But I take that pantyhose and I stretch it over the fruit, and then I take it up here to the trellis. There we go. And I wrap the pantyhose around the wire just once around to hold. And then I take, hold on, let me get over here and see if I can get you a better shot. Okay. And then I take I use the wire ties, like your bread ties and that kind of thing for this. And you can buy that in a roll in the garden center. Bear with me, I'm gonna try to climb up on this thing here. If you hear a little scream and the camera go flying, it's just because I fell. Okay, so then I kind of take that pantyhose, wrap around, and I take that wire tie, and wrap it around it, secure it. Okay, there's a lot of room left in this pantyhose, as you can see. I mean, it's not going to restrict the growth of the vegetable at all. It's see-through, so the light can get to it. When it rains, the water will run out of it. So it really is I think, the perfect solution of how to help support your plants. So with that being said, you can use that for watermelon, cantaloupe, any acorn squash, butternut, spaghetti squash, any of those kinds of things you could do this with, which then allows you to have even more space in your garden, because this plant, if I grew it on the ground, would have used this whole entire bed, which is a 10 by 3.5, for just those two plants. Probably one plant would fill it up, but you could get two in there. That is a huge amount of space, because when you look at what I have growing in this, not only do I have the butternut squash, but I've got two peppers, which I could actually even have two more in here if I wanted, right? There's a pretty good space in there. I've got 6 okra, which probably, you know, I think they're a little bit close. Probably would have done 3 in there. And then I've got my Asian long beans, which have lettuce underneath of it. So that is a huge amount of space saved. Now, you don't have to, if you say, well, I plant in the ground and I've got plenty of space. That may be true, but remember, it's also god-awful hot too. So if you have any plants that don't particularly like the full sun all day long, like these vining plants do, this gets shade under here. So you have things that, you know, peppers like hot weather, but they don't necessarily like it beating on them the entire time. Oh, did you see that? Look at that. The bees are just busy bees. So if you've not done any type of trellis gardening, I highly suggest it. It has been a game changer in my garden. More of my lovely okra that I'm not going to be eating, and that I'm going to be giving away in a fair market trade. I think that's a pretty good thing to do. But check it out. Look at that. That beautiful okra flower. I just think it's gorgeous. It hasn't even opened all the way, but it's just so pretty. I think that's the best part of all of this is just the different flowers and the way that the different plants grow and the length of time and like this. Check this out. All right, this is the butternut squash. This is actually goes all the way up and over, belongs to that plant on that side. So it's I'd say it's probably pretty happy. And so I just take that bad boy and you gingerly wrap him around, and I'm gonna see if I can't get him to start going across. We'll have him go like over there. So whenever you've got your vines starting, because you gotta keep an eye out, because they'll just like shoot out and start trying to grow all kinds of weird places. So I just take them and make sure that they're tucked in, and then they'll grow across the trellis and they go all over. This side isn't as full because, of course, this is where those other two plants were. So like on this one, I've been bringing those vines across. So now it's starting to fill up this side. And after a while, you won't even be able to tell what belongs to what plant, because they'll just be so intertwined. But they're happy. You can tell. They're very little stress. They've had very little pests. There's a little bit of some yellowing on some leaves here and there. But honestly, you know, when they're out here in 90, 100 degree weather, that's going to happen. There's a few squash bugs here and there, one or two, but really, gardening is a lot of work. It takes hours and hours, hours of planning and preparation, hours of amending and getting the soil to the way it needs to be. Whether you have an above ground garden or an in-ground garden, you still need to amend the soil. By that I mean either composting or blood meal or bone meal or fertilizer or something, because whenever you plant something, that plant is using the nutrients out of the soil, and that soil doesn't just create more. It's got to come from somewhere. So either you've got to do some type of succession planting or winter planting, to where you can plant things that are going to put the nutrients back in the soil that the plants you've planted through the summer have taken out, or you have to fertilize it or compost, you know, that kind of thing. In some way, you have to amend and make the soil usable. So that takes a lot of work and time and planning, and the more extravagant you get, the more it takes. Okay, so I said I would show you about how I tie up the vining vegetables like the butternut squash. So this is the twine that I was talking about. You can buy it at pretty much any garden center. It's like your bread ties, and you go through here, you pull it down, and then you use that, and it cuts it. I don't use it a lot. I don't use it to tie up my plants because I think the wire, even though it's plastic coated, it's still a little bit rough on the vines. So I use this for more of my structural building, like if I have stakes that I'm tying to another stake, or like when I'm hanging up my pantyhose for my plants. So I take my pantyhose and see I've cut it in strips and tied knots. Some of them I have used twine to tie, and then of course the toe part, you know, you don't have to tie, and so I'm just cutting it here and there with pieces. Okay, so you're gonna take this piece of pantyhose, and you're gonna take, and I'm gonna use this because there's a little bit more weight to it. You're gonna take it and you're gonna put it in there, and watch how it stretches. See how it stretches. I mean, you know, obviously for people who've worn pantyhose, you know how much they stretch. That's can hold a very large piece of fruit. And then you take the top of that, and what I do is I take this, okay, and I wrap it around just go like this and like this, back up, right? Of course, your trellis isn't going to be as fat as my finger. And once I've got it like that, then I take this twine and I cut off a good sized piece, and I wrap it around the trellis, making sure that I go around the pantyhose and then tie and secure it. So then it's sitting, and as it grows, okay, it'll stretch and grow with the fruit for however big as it needs to get. I did this, I've done that for last year with my butternut and spaghetti squash, and it worked really well. I didn't come up with this idea on my own, obviously. I read about it, and I thought, man, that is a really cool idea. But, you know, so you can use it really for any size. I'm going to grow watermelon and cantaloupe next year, so I'm going to try it and see. I don't know if it will work or not, but I'm going to try it. So I have a rather good size zucchini in my pantyhose that's about this long. Now, obviously you don't need to use it for zucchini, but I just want to show how much this will stretch. Now look, plenty of room. So if this was a butternut squash, of course it would be a lot bigger around. You know, there's obviously plenty of room for that fruit to grow. It doesn't restrict it, so keep it from growing as large as it should be, or make it some funky shape that you don't want. So that is how I tie up my butternut squash. I hope that helps. If you've never tried doing it that way, I encourage you to try it. I wasn't sure at first, and I thought that's kind of a neat idea, and it worked really well. And like I was saying earlier, when you find different ways to grow your vegetables, like over the trellis, whatnot. The wind's picking up. Can you hear the chimes? I'm probably not easy to hear right now. When you grow your vegetables and your plants over a trellis or in non-conventional ways, it opens up new possibilities. I wouldn't be able to grow as much as I do in the space I have if I didn't do it in non-traditional ways. And what's the worst that's going to happen if I try and it doesn't work? I've paid how much for seeds? Not very much. You pay a couple bucks, $10 most for a package of seeds if it's something, you know, fancy or rare, heirloom or that kind of thing. But really, you know, you're not out a whole bunch of money, and it's a valuable learning experience. If it didn't work out that time, then you try something new the next time, and you just keep going until it works. That's what I do. And then I come on here and I talk about it and tell you, because then maybe I can help you learn something different and, you know, continue with the gardening, because that's what's made my life richer. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, give a thumbs up. Click the notification button so you can be notified when I put up a new video. Subscribe to my channel. And I will see you again next time. Happy gardening.